Reacher Season 3 Episode 5 Recap, 3 deaths and a big old cliffhanger. After last week's heart-wrenching episode, it was a relief to watch the kind of episode that has become indicative of Prime Video's Reacher. Of course, there were still a couple of sad and untimely deaths this week, but viewers weren't as invested in those characters, nor was Reacher Alan Ritchson. That isn't to say their demise wasn't unfortunate or somber. Their fate simply didn't emotionally linger in the way Dominique Cole's Mariah Robinson death was meant to in Episode 4. Nevertheless, the death of certain characters in the newest episode had some pretty serious consequences for Reacher in his operation with Agent Duffy Sonia Cassidy. Last week's cliffhanger left Duffy and Agent Villanueva Roberto Montesinos on the verge of discovery and death. After tracking Angel Doll's Manuel Rodriguez-Scene's laptop to their location, McCabe's people began shooting. However, thanks to Reacher and Agent Elliot Daniel David Stewart, the pair are warned in the nick of time. Funny how that always works out. They manage to escape and toss the laptop in the process, but not before Duffy somehow left her badge behind without noticing. Don't worry though, Reacher found it before anyone else. I mean, what else did we expect? Now, with only 3 more episodes to go, all the pieces are beginning to fall into place rather quickly. With that, simple mistakes have dire consequences. Reacher and Duffy's initial assumptions turn out to be incorrect, and the boss at the top will finally reveal himself. What else could possibly go wrong? While Duffy and Villanueva are busy looking for Teresa Storm Steenson, Elliot is once again left to watch over the bodyguard they've been holding for days. However, ever the annoying hostage he's become, the bodyguard finally convinces Elliot to let him smoke. Huge mistake. The bodyguard uses the opportunity to spit hydrogen peroxide at Elliot as soon as he tries to light the cigarette. Elliot is then overwhelmed and burned, which gives the bodyguard the opportunity to attack. He promptly beats Elliot to death and escapes the cabin mere minutes before Duffy returns. Given the power outage and perceived security threat at Beck's home, McCabe orders that everyone's room be searched. In the process, they discover the French maid, Annette Caitlin McNerney, is actually an ATF informant. They find a cell phone she'd been using to text ATF agents, but somehow overlook Duffy's DA badge that Reacher hid inside his pillowcase. I guess the plot calls for Reacher's cover to remain intact for a few more episodes. Annette is killed immediately, and Reacher is made to dispose of her body. A task he clearly does with a heavy heart. He and Duffy then realize Beck and McCabe haven't been running drugs. Rather, they've been running guns, and ATF has been onto them for some time. It makes you wonder if anyone else might be undercover inside McCabe's operation. That would surely be another interesting twist. Now, with every card seemingly on full display, Reacher and Duffy know what's ahead of them. At least, that's what we're meant to believe thus far. With everything finally coming together, McCabe wants to see everyone given the developing circumstances. As such, Reacher and Beck are summoned to the rug warehouse. Of course, they're given no further details. The show must have an ominous quota to fill every week. Nonetheless, Reacher is finally set to come face to face with McCabe, who he believes is Xavier Quinn Brian T. However, something tells me the situation isn't going to unfold in the way we've all been led to believe. Reacher might have told us who the villain is from the get-go this season, but they surely still have a few tricks up their sleeves. This has to be one of them. Until the show explicitly confirms that McCabe and Quinn are the same person, I'm not convinced. Unfortunately, we'll have to wait until episode 6 to find out, seeing as the credits roll just as Reacher prepared himself to see McCabe. As such, I'm sure we'll all be stewing with anticipation until then. Here's to hoping the week flies by. If there's one thing Reacher does consistently, it's escalate. And in Season 3, Episode 5, that escalation reaches new heights, literally and emotionally. Titled 3 Deaths and a Big Old Cliffhanger, this episode doesn't just raise the stakes, it redefines them. We open where Episode 4 left off, Reacher, Neagley, and Dixon cornered in a crumbling warehouse outside Detroit, bullets flying and answers still out of reach. As usual, Reacher's brain works as fast as his fists. A smoke grenade, a well-placed forklift, and one massive punch later, the team escapes, but not without consequences. Deathfun, the mole among them. Back at the safe house, the team finally confronts the fact that someone has been feeding intel to the enemy. Phone taps, perfectly timed ambushes, and a missing laptop all point to a traitor in their circle. After cross-referencing communication logs and security footage, suspicion falls on Agent Harmon, an analyst with too much access and too little oversight. Reacher handles the confrontation the only way he knows how, directly. What follows is a tense interrogation turned brawl in a hotel parking lot. Harmon cracks, not just emotionally, but literally as Reacher breaks his arm to subdue him. Before he can spill everything, however, a sniper's bullet ends his story mid-confession. Clean, professional, and final. The mole's dead, but the questions he raised linger like smoke. Who was he working for? And why does it feel like they're always 2 steps behind? Death-2, collateral damage. With Harmon gone, the team follows the next breadcrumb, an encrypted flash drive recovered from his locker. Its contents lead them to a derelict power plant, which seems like a dead end until Reacher notices fresh tire tracks and cigarette butts outside. Inside, they find more than they bargained for: crates of untraceable weapons, falsified military documents, and most disturbingly, a photo of Dixon pinned to a corkboard, her face circled in red. It's a trap, of course. But it's not meant for Reacher. As they extract the intel and prepare to flee, a secondary team of mercenaries storms the plant. The firefight is brutal, chaotic. In the crossfire, they lose Sergeant Luis Ortega, one of Reacher's old MPs, recently reactivated and pulled into the chaos for his hacking skills and quiet loyalty. He takes 3 rounds to the chest, protecting Neagley. Ortega's death hits hard. This isn't just about stopping bad guys anymore. This is personal. And Reacher doesn't let personal go unanswered. Death-3. The ghost comes calling. Back in DC, we get a rare cutaway to the man behind the curtain, the enigmatic figure known only as the Ghost. Tall, well-dressed, calm in a terrifying kind of way, the Ghost meets with a senator in a candlelit study. The conversation is all euphemisms and veiled threats, but one thing is clear: the Operation Reacher is unraveling reaches higher than anyone suspected. Government contracts, black ops, and something called Project Blindside, whatever that is, it's worth killing over. The senator balks at the Ghost's request for containment, but he never gets to finish his protest. A quiet silence shot from the Ghost's bodyguard ends the discussion, and the senator. One more name to add to the episode's body count. A big old cliffhanger. Just when we think the team is finally catching up, the final 5 minutes turn the table again. Reacher and Dixon review Ortega's decrypted files and uncover a hidden ledger of transactions. Millions of dollars funneled through shell companies linked to a shadow corporation named Arclight Defense. The paper trail ends in a facility located deep in the Colorado Rockies. The team heads there under cover of night, trekking through snow and silence toward what looks like an abandoned communications outpost. As they near the structure, Reacher notices heat signatures through his thermal scope, too many for a decommissioned site. But before they can fall back, an explosion rocks the mountain. The cliff beneath them gives way. Dixon slips. Neagley grabs her. Reacher lunges, but he's a split second too late. The last shot of the episode? Dixon dangling by one arm off a snowy ledge, Reacher holding her wrist, the strain visible on both their faces. Below them, nothing but ice, rocks, and a 100-foot drop. Cut to black. Final thoughts. Episode 5 delivers on all fronts: action, intrigue, and emotional weight. It reminds us that while Reacher may be superhuman in strength and intellect, the people around him aren't bulletproof, and sometimes